Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good afternoon to the folks. This is Hanish Vasudevan from Talent Team Dubai office. I have been with the firm from past close to 2 years. My expertise lies with recruiting management, marketing, and onboarding 1.0. And for today's session, we will be discussing about how we can enhance the entire recruiting experience by improving the requisition approval process. Okay, so we all know how to streamline this. Recruiting experience is so important so that it how much it's impactful to the business and its cost. So let me walk you through this to our today's agenda. So the first thing is I'll be speaking to you about very minimal talent acquisitions and HR trends which are in scope for this year and how it will be helpful for our next 2024. And then why do we need this enhancement in our recruiting experience and how are we going to be profiting of it? And then with the standard process, what we have in the success factors for the requisition approval, and then what is the problem statement and what are the limitations we have, and how did we overcome with this limitation, and what was the solution we had, and then what are the key benefits of this solution, and then finally we'll just open the forum for the Q&A. Okay, so this would be the agenda. We'll be walking you through this today. First one is about the HR trends. What's happening with the talent acquisitions, right? So the talents and the recruiters face a huge amount of disruption, and their timeline from planning to action keeps shrinking while the imperative increases. So to help this for the talent as well as the HR leaders to better manage and during at these times of phases, we have identified few emerging HR trends, which we, like I said, which will be expecting to shaping the 2024 workplaces as well. So these are the four major ones which we have picked up for the day. The first one is the proactive recruiting. So the proactive recruiting is like how effective recruitment process can be, such that you pick the right person to the right candidate to the right job, and then we save the cost and time. And then the next we can go in, I'll go in detail about this proactive recruiting in the upcoming slides. uh, the next one is the enhancing the candidate or the talent experience, what we call. So why is this very important? Because candidate experience is like one candidate's complete holistic perception of the experience with one's recruitment process, correct? So the candidate experience is the result of like every interaction they had with the organization through the entire recruitment process where they had. So like for example, these interactions include all the stages of the hiring pipeline, right from the time when the talent applied for the job till they screened, and then the interview process and the onboarding. So like every HR or recruitment process do have impact for the candidate's perspective, and the decision to keep engaging with the team or not is very very important. So that's why we need to have a very good candidate experience here. In our previous webinar sessions, we also spoke about how a quick apply can help us to have this enhancing candidate experience. And then coming to the next topic is artificial intelligence, which is now in a key boom. um, Artificial intelligence in talent acquisition process can decrease the time and effort to complete the um, like the mundane tasks and make the hiring process more efficient and effective. Like we have all the data in the system, like the bots can take all the data, do the candidate shortlisting and do it. So this is one key HR trend which is going to be high in the market for this year and the next year. So looking forward to it, how it's going to work with the success factors. And the last one is the diversity and inclusion, which is being on board from the past couple of years. So DEI and belonging have been like reviews on more visibility nowadays in the recent times, correct? So HR organizations are increasingly analyzing their entire employee life cycle through this DIB lens, what we call it as. So it also offers an opportunity to connect the organization purpose with diversity initiatives. So not only this is important, this also makes business sense, but is also right thing to do. So that is why I think in the current HR market trends, we nowadays we can hear about the blind recruiting, which is in scope, how we can do the blind recruiting effectively so that we get the right talent. So hoping that there would be a good solution so far in a very near time. So expecting for that. Now, going on to today's topic, why do we enhance recruiting process? So, like I said, it's an effective recruitment, which means that the hiring the right person for the right job, which is like a fast and efficient recruitment process, which will reduce the cost, enhance a company's reputation, both from a market and candidate perspective, and ensure that at very best talent is identified, engaged, and brought into the business. So for this, efficient way, why it should be fast and efficient, because for the cost effective everything, it's like we have to attract the right talent, correct? So what's attracting the right talent? It's often said that it's better to hire no one than we hire mm, the wrong talent, or we could say that, correct? So having an effective recruitment process means we stack with a clear understanding of what the business needs, then we communicate that well to the attractive quality candidates or the talents, and we carefully select the one who best meets the requirements. So it's more than just finding the most talented or qualified people. It's about getting the right talent for the role and the company, and people with the best possible skill set, and the right person for the team and the business. So with this, where it is tied up to the improving the overall candidate experience as well. If a candidate experience is a bit altered, or if it's a bit diminished, that with the communication with the recruitment process, then the talent will be missed, then we are not attracting the candidate. So that is why it is linked with each other. And yes, more effectively, if we get this process built in a proper format, and if this process is aligned in a stronger way, then we would be able to save the time and cost. So why do I say we save the time and cost? I'll explain you in detail in the following slides. Okay, so coming to this, what is the standard process on the first step of job requisition creation and the approval? So we do all know that we create a job requisition and it has to go through certain level of approval process, correct? So currently, if you see this slide here in the top right, we have this route map designed and configured in such a way that the first step is the create requisition, is the person who actually creates the requisition, either any of the ways, through recruitment or through position management or through API. So he is the first originator. So once the requisition is created by the originator, he will fill minimal details or whatever the basic details which has to be on that particular requisition, and he routes it to the next approver. In this example, it's the hiring manager's manager approval. So hiring manager's manager will check out all those details. If it's valid enough, and if he thinks it's good to go proceed, he will send it to the next who is in the queue, which is the recruiting team action. If the hiring manager's manager feels that the data what has been not acceptable or needs some modification, he can still route back to the create requisition to the one step behind. So this is the standard process what we have in the success factors in today's day, correct? So after the third step, when the requisition has reached to the recruiting team action here, he will just send it to the last step of the completed, which is the recruiter in the most of the cases, in for most of the clients, where the recruiter fills all the relevant details, complete the job description, skills, competency, everything, and then he posts the job. So this is the standard process what we have in success factors so far. Now, what is the limitation or what is the today's problem statement on what we have today here is the I could say the major limitation in the standard job requisition approval process is that if the approver at a particular route step delays significantly due to any reason, might be any personal reason, or if he's an higher executive who doesn't want to approve it on the go, or if he doesn't not is part of the job but it has been assigned to us, and so there are many client specific requirements, right? And he does not approve the job requisition, say it stays in his bucket for more than a month, or more than a month, then there is no time binding here. So the limitation is such that we have to know that how much time an approver is allowed to keep the job rec, and he can't keep it in pending with themselves. So this is where the major limitations what we are seeing in this particular process. Now, there might be a question like in success a standard process in success factors, we do have a due date standard field in the job requisition, correct? Now, what does this field do? Doesn't this field take any action or do help us with this process? To answer the question, no. This due date standard field in this route map is just to identify, or it's just to generate the reminders. So which has a significance of only generating the reminders to the step owner that this is delayed, but still the job requisition is allowed to be kept with him, with the current approver. Still there won't be any action to it. So all this due date can do is only to send the reminders and just tell the approver that there's an requisition holding in your inbox. Could you please approve it? Then there is late notification go on. Okay. So now what happens? Now there is first approver who has missed it and it doesn't go to the next step at all. Even if the first approver sees it and he sends it after the most 30 days or something, correct? uh, which will affect in this case, what does it affect? It'll affect the overall approval cycle by all the approvers in the job requisition route step. And now which has to be completed within a month, but it gets extended by 2 months. And this is how it impacts the hiring process. So now in the screen I have, there's a table here. What you can I have, this is an example scenario which we have seen in most of the clients over here, I could say that. So for example, the first considering as an example, the first date is on the 1st Jan 2023. The job requisition has been created by the originator here. Okay, so once the job requisition has been created, he filled all the details, he sent it to the first approver. So the first approver is the route step 1 approver. He had kept this requisition on his inbox for 24 days, and on the 25th of Jan he fills all the details, or he doesn't fill, he just sees and he routes the requisition for the second step, which is the second approver. So the second approver again holds this requisition for a month. On 20th Feb he completes this process and he routes it back to the final step. Okay, at the final step, when the recruiter has reached, when the recruiter has got the actual requisition is at the 1st March. Now just see the dates here. The requisition was actually created on 1st Jan, but with this scenario, the moment the recruiter has got the requisition in his inbox is by 1st March. This already delayed by 3 months here. So what recruiters does is immediately they fill out the major informations and they post the job to the portals. So the 1st March when the recruiter receives, he just opens the requisition and he posts the job requisitions, and immediately consider the best case scenario in the next 10 days. For the until 10th of March, there are 10 applicants received by. So now we have 10 applicants and the interview process starts, our onboarding, all this interview process, background check, everything starts. And by 25th of March, as an example, the candidate has accepted the offer, which is still a feasible day. So once the interview started, it just takes around 25 days or 10 to 15 days here on the screening everything, and after the interview process it takes on 25th he accepts the offer. Now the candidate is have to serve the notice period in his firm. So most of the firm has a 2 months of notice period or 3 months of notice period, correct? So at the last, the date of joining for this candidate would be on 1st of July. So if you can see, it started on 1st Jan, but it ends on 1st July to attract one talent with a normal standard process here. So the overall delay, what we see is close to 5 to 6 months, considering the notice period of the candidate who joins the organization. So this is the one of the scenario what we have been facing from the these days. Okay, now what do we have in our solution? So yes, what if we can automatically route these steps? Now the candidate was the first approver had 24 days in his bucket. The requisition was in his bucket for 24 days. What if we can build a solution such that the first approver will only can have the requisition in his bucket for specific period of days, say 48 hours or 36 hours. Again, it depends on the client's requirement. After that particular set of time, if the system can pick the requisition and send it to the next step. So that is what, as part of our integration packages from the talent team, uh, we have developed a solution to address this problem now. So by introducing this an automated approval system for the job requisition roadmap, it'll automatically pick the job requisition which is on the bucket of the any approver for more than specified X amount of days, say 2 days or 3 days. It picks it up, it will find out who's the next approver is, and it will send to that particular approver. Okay, so this is how this solution works. And what do we need for this solution is that the prerequisite to implement this solution is just we need to have SAP Cloud Integration and you need to have RCM implemented with it. That's it. Now I'll quickly show you into the screen and I'll explain you what has happened here. Just go to the give me 1 minute. So this is our recruiting dashboard. So for this particular recruiting dashboard, this is the route map, which I was already showing you on the deck. So here, the first one is the originator, and next one is the hiring manager, which is the GM. And the last is the recruiting team action, who will also be the recruiter who completes the routing. Okay. So now, as one of the scenario here, if I go to this product manager requisition, so this is one of the requisition where we had implemented a solution for this demo purpose to showcase you that how it would work. So I'll just go to the audit history of this job requisition. So here you can see this requisition 2957 Tessa Walker standard job requisition was created by Tessa on 27th of March. Okay, so after this requisition was created, the Tessa completed the details of the first form and then she routed it to the Christine Dolan, who is the second approver in this case, which is the hiring manager's manager. Now, for this, like I said, for the demo purpose, what we did is we had this auto approval clock set for 15 minutes. Okay, so for 15 minutes, the system was checking if the Christine Dolan is going to take any action on this requisition or not. If not, system will automatically pick it up and it routed back to Tessa Walker. So that is where we have added an additional comment to the system saying that this is a routing made by the system, not by the user. So this can also be tracked here. So the comment from this our CPI system says that auto approval on 27th March on this particular time, which is 15:29. Okay. On the next step, when the Tessa worker has also received it, it still waits for the next 15 minutes. If you can see, after the 15:44th minute, it just gets approved and it gets onto the final form. So this is how the solution has been handled here. And yes, there might be questions that is this solution applicable for every type of requisition? The answer is yes. Be it a standard requisition, be it an evergreen requisition, be it a quick apply job requisition, this solution will be implemented to all of this type of templates. And the next important question is, would we be able to control the auto approval step between the modifiers? Now, for example, now there is an approver one. He he does need the automatic approval, which he would not be able to do. So the system can pick it. On the second part, can we restrict that system should not pick this particular modifier or this step owner, but still it will wait for them for the complete stage, and then for the next step, yes, you can still have the solution, the automatic auto approval to be enabled for it. So you can still skip between the modifiers. You can set the solution between the modifiers. So yes, you can have that flexibility of playing around between these modifiers. So this is the one of the major advantage, what we call it, to our automatic routing job applications. Okay. Now, moving to the next one is, what are the key benefits of this? So, like I said, the most best key benefit, what I could say, is the effective and efficient recruiting process. In our example, like we saw, right, we had a delay of 5 to 6 months. If we could have controlled the first requisition approver by 2 days, for an example, 2 business days or 3 business days, the requisition approval process would have got completed within 7 days, and recruiter would have got it by his 8th day, and the job would have been posted. A case where the candidate was offered a job and it took 6 months to enter. In this case, the candidate would have been into the best talent would have been hired within a span of 2 to 3 months, which I'm considering the worst case scenario. The best case scenario is we could get the right talent within a month. So now, how is it going to save the cost? Yes, this is the cost of time and hire what we are speaking here. So that the time of the recruiter is saved, the time of the candidate is saved, everything is here. And speaking from the product perspective, yes, it's easily configuration. The configuration and management is very easier. So there won't be any much complexity through for the admins who are going to handle this, or the consultants who's going to handle this. It has a easy plug and play solution. So it's a very quick deployment and the implementation. And like I said, it's a universal and flexible, which means that this can be applied to any type of job requisition template, and it's easily enabled for any step or the any owner between this routing. Okay. And the next one is about the auto retry mechanism. So this is quite interesting. It's that uh, it attempts uh, auto approvals for a step that was previously failed due to data issues. So once there's a data issue and the auto approval fails, it doesn't mean the system stops there. The system keeps on checking it, and again it attempts for the next approval. So if there's a delay by the recruiter to update one of the information, the first step, and still it is not there, it will still wait for the next attempt and it will just still pick it up. So by this way, it does not skip or it does not fail. So this one mechanism is like very helpful, and it will be very effective. So so far, this solution, we have successfully deployed it, and which eventually gave us a very good growth for one of our client. And as the next phases, we had only implemented for the 2 templates. Now, as for the next phases, we're going to implement for the rest of the 4 5 other 4 templates as well. So we could say this solution is really good, and it's been used by other one of our client, and it's really good. So yep, that's it for the day. So do we have any questions over the chat or the call?
So let me have a look. Feel free to ask any questions, by the way. Let me see, somebody raised their hand. I'm going to unmute you so you can ask.
Hey, hi. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you. Thanks for the demo. I think it's quite useful. So one question I have is, I appreciate that it's going to be, automatic approval, and definitely it's going to save a lot of cost. And, because so much of people going on leave and, unprecedented terminations. So this will definitely be a great advantage. So the question is, so when you say, you can actually have these automatic approvals in place, so will it be dynamic? So when I say dynamic, so the first approval, it goes to the, hiring manager, right? And then the second approval, probably, if I can create a finance director group, right? So, people keep changing it. So can that be mapped to the position so that, anybody who comes in that specific position, you'll be able to, assign to those folks, so that it's more like a parallel approving, not more like a linear method. If does it make sense? Hello? Hello?
Hanish, are you here?
Yeah, Harish, yeah, is my question clear?
Hello, Hanish. By the way, we can't hear you in case you're talking, Hanish.
No, please. Guys, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Loud and clear, loud and clear, Harish. Yeah. So do you want me to repeat the question, Hanish?
Yes, please.
So the question is, so by the way, when this is Alvin from Associated British Ports. Okay, so the question I have is, when you talk about this automated approval process, right?
Correct.
It goes to the hiring manager. So let's say the second level of approval, I'm creating a custom group. Say, my finance directors will be, part of the approval group. The question is, can you have your second approval to be more dynamic? Say, for example, can it look at the position finance director? It can have like 5-6 people, holding that position. So that, the reason is I wanted, it's like first come first serve basis. It goes to a specific group, and then anybody can approve the requisition, as long as they are holding the correct title. Is that something which is feasible? It is more like a parallel approval process, and not like a linear approval process. So when you say linear, right? So first it goes to, let's say, Hanish, and then second
Correct.
it goes to, let's say, Manish, right? So it needs to follow that one-to-one process. Rather, Hanish, after Hanish approves the request, it goes to the second approval group, where it can have Alvin, it can have Manish, it can have somebody XYZ. So anybody can act on those approvals. So in that way, there's no way that, there's delay, anybody can act on it. So, you're getting my point, I believe.
Yeah, I do understand your point. So this is like, yeah, so this is one of the toughest part we have been seeing from our success factor standard process as well. But when we create this route map structure, right, you can see here we are only able to assign one person or one role on this. So that's why it's mostly sequential when we build this. So whenever the requisition is created, the route map is already built to it. So the user should already be part of that particular role, whichever it is. But for your example, you're saying that probably the second approver cannot be a person, but it can be a group of person. It might be a recruiting team, or it can be a complete hiring managers team. If not one person can't pick it, the other have to pick it. But I think from the success factor systems itself, this particular thing, parallel approval, is not yet feasible. You can't do it yet. That's why we have the collaborative step or somewhere. In this collaborative step, you can have an entry user and an exit user. So there will be two steps here. If you can just see my screen, there is something called collaboration. Here you can have two roles, right? Not the entire group, but you can have two groups here. Then again, these two roles will be two users. With these two users, you can still play around with the solution, but not with the entire group. Did
Okay.
that answer your question?
Yeah, I think, kind of, I got it, because I understand, how the collaboration works. So, I'm just trying to see, if we can have some sort of a parallel approval process so that anybody can pick it up and then approve it, so that it becomes so easy for the entire ATR process to be,
Yeah,
people can
more
approve it.
frequent, more fast and effective.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So you can kind of crush the overall time to hire. So that's fine.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, that gives me some insights.
Thank you.
And Hanish, there's another question. Will there be email notification sent once it is auto approved?
Yes, the standard document routing notifications will still work in these cases. So whenever the system, or through the manual or through the automation, if the routing is completed, the same standard notification will trigger.
Thank you, Anish. We'll just give a bit more time. Guys, let us know if any questions. Otherwise, I think the best approach is also to email us later on at info@talenteam.com. I'll make sure that I forward the question to Hanish. May I know what is the timeline and efforts needed for this to be implemented for an existing customer?
Sorry, what is the timeline?
Timeline and also efforts needed for this to be implemented for an existing customer.
Timeline and effort estimates to implement this to an existing customer.
Correct.
Okay, like I said, it's a quick, it's an plug and play deployment. We already have the solution in our hands, and so it shouldn't take more than 2 to 4 weeks, considering the testing, considering the design in the development instance, and then we do a 1 week of test on the preview instance, and then move to the production. So it should not take more than 3 to 4 weeks. And it also depends on the particular client's requirement as well. Since it's we can control the moderate step owners and the route maps, how many route maps and templates, all it depends. But to answer your question, for the basic step, it will take around close to 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay. We'll just give a couple of more minutes, okay? If no more questions, we will close it here. I will send out the recording as well, okay? Just so you have a reference, and you can also share with colleagues if you like. Okay, that's it. So I think that's it, Hanish. Thank you so much for a good session as always. And thanks for everyone to, spending their half an hour with us.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Have a
Adi.
nice
Bye-bye.
day.